Have you ever looked back on your life and thought, if only I had known then what I know now? In my 20s, I had made a decision that at the time I thought for sure was the right thing, which now looking back, it was a huge mistake. It changed the course of my life, my relationships, and even just my general attitude in ways I couldn't have imagined. In this video, I'll take you through the highs and the lows of that decision, lessons learned, and how you can avoid making the same mistake. I'm Edwin Cantu, and this is Mentor Moments, insights from mentors, friends, and daily life. In this video, I'm going to talk about the biggest mistake I made in my 20s. So to set the scene, in my early 20s, I was in college, I was on a full ride, I was a great student, I had a good job, and I was incredibly focused to become the best business person that I could. Not necessarily being in business, although I did start a few businesses, but I knew that those were kind of small time compared to eventually what I thought I was going to be able to do in business. I also saw my two best friends and roommates start their own business and was a little bit of part of that. And so I thought I was well on my way to accomplishing my goals and doing and building the life that I wanted to. And I knew our 20s are the best time to start preparing and exploring, and I was doing all of that, or so I thought. And it wasn't until years later, even now I still kind of struggle with it, but now, so I'm 27 and getting close to 28, and I would say now I'm well past my early to mid 20s, and now I'm entering my late 20s. And so for the bulk of my 20s, I had made the same mistake. My life was one dimensional. I cared about one thing and one thing only: becoming excellent and incredibly competent at business. Everything I did was with that in mind. I read tons, hundreds of books. I would constantly be at the library studying. I would take books into my classes that I viewed as low value, sit in the back, not pay attention to the professor, and read my books. And again, at the time, I thought I was doing the right thing. I was hungry. I was taking notes in my books. I was having conversations with my friends and my professors about the books, and they were validating, man, you're literally one of the smartest people I know, or professors saying, Edwin, you're one of the most driven students I know. You're going to do great. And even though it felt great and I felt like I was on the right track because of all those things, I was going further and further away from what actual success looks like. It's tough to say, but that mistake actually impacted some of my favorite people on earth and my loved ones and my relationships. I started viewing things from a return on investment lens. The quality time that I could spend with people was viewed counter to what would happen if I focused on this business, or what would be the return on investment of reading these next 4 chapters of a new book that I was excited about, compared to catching up with an old friend. My older brother was entering a job, and instead of getting to know what that experience was like from him, I focused on my things. My sister was entering high school, and as her older brother, there was a ton of guidance that I could have prepared her for, but again, I was focused on business things. My parents were adapting to only having one kid in the house, and again, I was focused on business things. And then even then, when I started working at the university, and my definition of success slowly started to change, it was hard to unwire my brain the same way that I had come. And I still think there's like mental residue from that belief system, because even now I still don't prioritize relationships. Even though I know how important they are to me, I still am very one-track minded at times. And so I think it's some of that, whether it's potentially me just being hardwired that way, or believing for so long and putting so much of my identity in becoming competent in business, that I'm dealing with the ramifications of that. It even changed my worldview. Again, almost like the return on investment thing. If I viewed everything from the lens of how can I profit off of this? And I don't want to make it seem like I was an awful person, because I still, for the most part, try to treat everyone with respect. And sometimes I definitely made some bad decisions, but I think the core of it came from a place of wanting to understand capitalism. Everyone I grew up with, for the most part, we were always lower socioeconomic and just poor. We couldn't afford the things we wanted. We would hear about people at our high school that were better off going on these vacations, and we stayed at home playing in the neighborhood, which was nice, but we started doing the comparison thing, and growing up with social media, it was always around us. And so I thought in my mind, well, I know delayed gratification is incredibly important, and instant gratification will lead to your downfall, because I would just be on YouTube, or I would just want to snack, and I would just be doing all these things just to get a quick dopamine hit. And so delayed gratification, I justified my desire to be great in business because I was delaying gratification. I knew the payoff was going to come when I was 40, 50 years old, or 60 years old, and I had a net worth of a certain amount. I had a nice home. I could afford nice vacations. I knew business success would get me there. And so this was the way that I justified living this way. And I was wrong. I was completely wrong. There were so many of my 20s that I think I could have taken better advantages of. I could have been a lot more present in relationships that would have been much stronger to this day. I think I could have had different experiences just from being around other people and truly engaging and investing in those relationships, as opposed to just investing in myself. And even though I do think it benefited me in some ways, I don't think it built my character up to be the person that I wanted to be. I think it made me sharp, and I think it made me competent. But if I could only be smart or kind, I'm kind of veering a little bit more to the kind. Ideally, I want to be both, but with now being in the business communities, there are plenty of sharp people that I see, but I notice the people that I gravitate to and the people that I want to be mentored by, or the people that I want to continually pick their brain, are people that are both sharp but incredibly kind, or incredibly wise and caring, and have high moral character. And I think there was parts of my growing up that I wouldn't say I was the standard for that. I would say I was competent, and I would say I was incredibly hardworking, but I don't know if I was playing the right game. I don't know if I was valuing the human experience for what it was. I was viewing things from a very capitalistic lens, which is helpful in some regards, but it's dehumanizing in others. You start narrowing everything down to the numeric value of things, and that's not a way to live. That's not a way to be human. And I was falling into the trap, and at times I still now almost have to work against myself to remind myself, if I have a free weekend, would I rather spend it making videos? Would I rather spend it reading business books? Would I rather spend it with my sister, with my brother, with my parents, working with my dad? I'm starting to kind of counterbalance and understand that it was a mistake. There was some benefit to it, but there was a lot of things that I think could have led me astray to not becoming the person I would have been proud of, even though I may have accomplished the external markers of success, that I don't even think that's what success is anymore. So my advice to others would be very wary of what comes with your definition of success. Be very wary of the things that you are wanting to attain and the things that you are sacrificing to attain those goals. I had a conversation today with a client, and she mentioned it's great that people want things and are able to acquire the things that they want. However, whenever it is that you want something, your judgment is clouded. Because this is the thing that you want, you're not aware, you don't read the fine print, or you're not aware of the things that you are losing to acquire and to attain this goal. And so if there's anything that you can do to slow down and reflect and make sure that you are gaining clarity, that the things that you are wanting are not taking more important things away from you, then I say continue and go on forth. But if there's even parts of you that question whether what you are losing in the search or the attainment of your goal, the goal may not be worth it. What do you think? Does this reflect your own experience? Have you made a similar mistake growing up? Or you wish you could have sat back down with your younger self and told them and gave them some wisdom? Let me know in the comments. And if you watched the whole video, you might as well like the episode and subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for listening.